The Rise and Shine podcast series is made possible by the generous support of Bonnie Vozar of Chicago, Illinois.
As I sit in my sukkah this year and I look up out at the heavens, I'm going to remember where my help comes from. And I will raise my eyes to the mountains and I will surround myself in reality.
This is Rise and Shine, a podcast that offers timeless wisdom and uplifting meditations to fill your heart, feed your soul, and start your day on a positive note. Here is Adrienne Gold-Davis.
I am now at an age that stuns me. How can it be so when inside of me I still feel 23? You know, my late wonderful Nana once told me that when she had just turned 80, and no, I'm not 80, thank you very much, she would stare into the mirror after having had a bath or a shower, and she'd look at herself naked and she'd say, "Who is that old lady in the mirror? I'm only 17. And I used to find this very funny and, of course, delusional on her part. But today I understand this dissonance. Now, given that many of us women begin examining our bodies and our skin for signs of aging by the time we're in our 20s, this is not news to any of you. I know that. You know, that first gray hair, that first wrinkle, the first stretch mark, that first set of 11s that come between your eyes, that first crepe paper skin on your hand, the first chin hair. Well, the first quickly becomes the first of many and starts that race against the clock as we frantically rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic to make those signs disappear. You know, these days, young women use Botox prophylactically because if the line never forms, then one never has to need to soften it. But as a woman who only had her first Botox treatment at 58, I can tell you they're onto something. But I think that all of us know that no matter how well preserved we are on the outside, no matter how well we eat or exercise and care for the temple that is the body that carries our precious soul, there is only one alternative to growing old, and that's not being alive. And certain parts of us do not come with a warranty, and they start to show and manifest signs of wear and tear, regardless of what we do. And I got to tell you that I am mostly okay with all of that. You see, Judaism teaches us that we are primarily souls carried around in bodies, and that these bodies are impermanent and they're fragile. And like the sukkahs that we build during this holiday of Sukkot, the body is a temporary structure, and that's why we don't affix a mezuzah to a sukkah, because mezuzahs don't go on temporary dwellings. But the thing that's exquisite about the sukkah is that the roof has to be open enough that one can see the stars while you're inside eating or sleeping or hanging out with friends, because it represents the ultimate reality sandwich. And that is this, that strong walls and ceilings do not protect us from the inevitable vicissitudes of life. And it is only by looking up and into those heavens that we can ever feel any true comfort, because our souls are eternal. They begin in the world of souls and they have their journeys around the sun, and then they return from whence they came. Now, personally, I find great comfort in knowing that my physical journey here on earth is only part of the trajectory of my soul. And I'll tell you something else. I don't believe that all of our attention to the body is just rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. That expression implies that it's pointless because the ship is sinking anyway. But it isn't pointless. You just ask the musicians who played their violins as the ship was sinking for the comfort of the terrified disembarking passengers, and just ask the staff on the Titanic who spoke words of comfort and served champagne while the water was already coming into steerage. You see, we're all on the Titanic. None of us is going to live forever. There is no shame in enhancing the experience while we are here. even if it's true that we're all born dying. Now, the great Viktor Frankl, in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, once wrote this. He said, "We who lived in concentration camps can remember the men who walked through the huts comforting others, giving away their last piece of bread. Well, they may have been few in number, but they offer sufficient proof that everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way." Well, I'm choosing my own way, more consciously and aggressively than I did as a younger woman, simply because I'm trying to maximize every moment left in this particular transmigration of my soul. This body of mine with this soul of mine, I'm not going gentle into that good night. And as I sit in my sukkah this year and I look up out at the heavens, I'm going to remember, as the poet and psalmist said, where my help comes from. And I will raise my eyes to the mountains, and I will surround myself in reality. This week, think about some of the words of my favorite poet, Robert Frost. He said this: "Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold. Her early leaf's a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf. So Eden sank to grief. So dawn goes down to day. Nothing gold can stay." So there's something extraordinary about impermanence. It causes us to seize the moment. It helps us to feel joy from that which is in front of us. And it's the reason that the holiday of Sukkot is called Zman Simchatenu, the time of our joy, because there is tremendous joy to be found by living in a state of truth, of knowing, as we say in Hebrew, Gam ze yavor, this too shall pass. When we open our hearts to the ordinary miracles that lay in front of us, we get a kind of Sukkot consciousness. And it's the ultimate spiritual Botox. Because when you're animated from the inside, your outside really starts to glow. Again this week, think about the eating and the drinking and the socializing and the living we're supposed to do inside of our sukkahs. They're all ordinary experiences that are elevated by our intentions. And that's how we Jews continue to choose our own ways. And if you don't have one, get yourself invited to someone else's. Jewish communities, the synagogues, even some of the restaurants put them up. So unless you live on Mars, you should be able to find one at least within driving distance of where you live. And commit yourself to the joy of knowing that your temporary dwelling, your body, is seated in another temporary dwelling. But you're living in reality, and you are aligned with the heavens above you. Happy Sukkot, everyone.
Thanks for listening to Rise and Shine. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to Momentum Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Join Adrienne again next time for more timeless wisdom and uplifting meditations that fill your heart, feed your soul, and start your day on a positive note.
This podcast was made possible by the generous support of Bonnie Vozar of Chicago, Illinois. Spread the wisdom. Inspire Jewish individuals around the globe by supporting Momentum's podcasts. To sponsor, contact podcast@momentumunlimited.org. You're listening to a Momentum podcast. For unlimited inspiration, wisdom, and empowerment, visit momentumunlimited.org.